Thank you, Paulette, and to everyone for the kind words. All of our speakers and panelists have left me with so much inspiration and hope. Hope that if we seize this critical moment, we can galvanize voters in the midterm elections and continue moving our society boldly forward. Today, we take notice of my stepping down from leadership of Alliance for Justice, but also the exciting beginning of a new era under the leadership of Rakim Brooks. Let me tell you, this has been an incredible ride. I'm excited for this new chapter and know that he's the right person to lead the next phase of AFJ's work. As some of you know, Alliance for Justice began rather modestly in a clinic at Georgetown Law School over a bar. That's not the bar of justice, but a bar that served law students copious amounts of alcohol. Starting at 4:00 in the afternoon, and as customers came in for a drink, it grew harder and harder to hear yourself think. There were only two of us, an assistant and myself, and lots of students to help with projects. We've come a long way since then. Today, our staff of over 40 in DC, Texas, and California is, I'm happy to say, going strong. And our flagship programs, Justice and Bolder Advocacy, are inextricably linked to increasing equity and participation in our democracy. The few of us who gathered together to fight back in the 1980s, those early years, never expected what we'd face in the decades that followed. More than 24 years of Republican presidents bent on picking judges, very ultra-conservative ones. To this day, as we all witnessed during the 4 years of the Trump administration, Republicans used the promise of these judges to pump up their far right-wing base and win elections. We know that change doesn't happen in a day or even a year. The struggle for civil rights, gun safety, abortion, and so many issues takes time. These times, though, when the tides are against us, made us stronger. It's like that Sam Cooke song. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Yes, it will. And we've already seen the winds of change shift a bit. The Senate has confirmed more judges than it has in years. And what we pushed so hard for during previous Democratic administrations, demographic and experiential diversity, is becoming a reality. Public defenders, civil and workers' rights, and plaintiffs' lawyers are getting judgeships. It's a huge change. AFJ was instrumental in making this happen, along with the 35 organizations in our Building the Bench program. Moreover, polls showed that more Democrats than Republicans now care about the courts, an historic reversal from the past. These are all signs pointing to real progress. I'm often asked how I stayed motivated in this fight for the last 42 years. I like to say that social justice advocates, lawyers, and organizations are there for all seasons. During bad years, you offer hope, spirit, and resistance. During good years, you make sure we don't let down our guard. I know you will all keep fighting in the halls of Congress and in state houses around the country. And I'll still be there with you. Returning to the place where I began at Georgetown Law School, I'll be teaching. And from my post in the academic world, we'll keep the flame burning. What we heard from Stacey, and I think this bears repeating, is that social justice is a team sport. It's what makes AFJ's Bolder Advocacy program so vital to advancing the causes we all care about. And the best way to do that is to better arm nonprofits, whether they're foundations or smaller grassroots organizations, with the tools they need to advocate for their communities and causes they know best. At AFJ, we're doing that work by some measure, which could be thought of as behind the scenes. But the reward comes from knowing that our collective efforts touch the lives of so many in this country, most of whom will never see or know. They certainly won't know us, but their fortunes and all of our fortunes, by extension, will be lifted up by what we do. There's an increasing awareness among our constituents and among young people in particular of how important this work is. I know everyone here tonight already understands why AFJ and our partner organizations are so vital to securing and expanding all of our rights. I can't close without a few very important thank yous. First, thank you to the board and our former board chairs, and specifically Paulette and Norm Rosenberg, who led the board during this period, and the success of the smooth transition to AFJ's new president, Rakim Brooks. It says so much about their dedication. Naturally, I want to thank the incredible team at AFJ, the people without whom none of this progress would be possible. It takes passion, resiliency, and ongoing motivation to do this critical and rewarding work. I'm honored to have moved the needle towards democracy alongside each of you. You're changing the course of history. Keep up the great work. Of course, I want to also thank my family, which has shared the pleasures and challenges of the past 42 years. My husband, my adult children, and siblings. I also want to thank my supportive and enthusiastic grandchildren. I hope their generation does not have to fight these same battles and will benefit from the hard work of AFJ and like-minded organizations and individuals. Last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank you, supporters and friends of AFJ. Without your continued support, we cannot do what must be done. Thank you so much for what you've given in good times and not so good times. We persevere. We know we won't win every fight and hard challenges lie ahead, but I know that together we'll continue to make the most of every moment because the stakes are so high. And because years from now, we can say these were times when people began to find fairness again when they walked in a courtroom. It's a moment when they began to find a greater commitment to compassion and equality. And so to leave you with a saying by A.A. Milne that I recently found on the wall of a public school while hanging out in a playground with my granddaughter. It goes like this: how lucky am I to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Well, thank you all for accompanying me on this amazing journey. And now I'll hand it back to DeRay and Rakim to close out this special evening.